Alright, so I tried a couple of different techniques for for aging wood because I don't want this isn't going to be the dark outside, which is downstairs of course. But so I tried the vinegar method, which is actually used in larger furniture, but it had no discernible effects. I soaked them both, like I soaked this one in in white cider and white vinegar, and I soaked this one in apple vinegar, and I can't even tell where I soaked them because I soaked half of them, and then so I think I'm just going to do my regular watered down paint instead of ink. Though I'm thinking that I won't age it like this, I'll just wash it on, because this is on the inside of a building, not the outside, so it doesn't need to be aged. So I'll just do a light brown wash. Now where? Here you are. Hey. So here's my paint thing. This is the brown I want. Now, I get my paint from tons and tons of... I need to put you away. I get my paint from tons and tons of different places just because wherever I find it, wherever it's cheap, wherever, stuff like that. So this is Folk Art Fabric Fawn. I paint the tops of all of my things so I can tell what color they are. We're just going to shake it up first just in case, because I have a bad habit. Alright. We're going to pour some of that sucker in there. And then I'm going to go get some new water because my old water is starting to look at different colors. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, you may notice I use pill bottles for just about everything. That's it's basically what happens when you're on meds. You have all these pill bottles around, so I find they're good to use for everything, as well as I keep all the wood I use. Those are the heads of these that are chopped off for when I make stuff like this. Also, when you do this, make sure you leave it crushed for longer than I did. To make sure that it fully dries, because yeah, as you can tell, like when I first came up it was warped a lot more, and then I put more pressure on it. I'm going to have to put another pressure on it, and I figure since we're going to be wetting it down, that'll help. So anyways, I'm going to pour a little bit of water in there. There we go. And then here is the paintbrush I'm using. Mix that sucker in there. This is one reason why I like using water-soluble paints. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Just mix that sucker in. Alright, so that's going to make a nice wash for us to work with. Okay. And then here we go. Hello, Mamai. I think I may have to add a little bit more brown. We'll see how this works. I think I'm going to add a little more brown anyways. I added a lot of water, and I don't know how this... Usually, this is the type I use for watering down and stuff. And this is obviously a different type because it's made for fabric. But I like this color of brown. So let's actually add a little bit more in there. Mix that sucker in. La 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 la, mix it in. There we go. There we go. Now we got a nice, I think it's almost 1-to-1 water and paint now. Let's just mess up the table more, giving me more reason to sand it back down. I'm almost wondering if this is a wash already, but it's really dark up there. So I'm not so sure it's just a wash. No, I've used that to make fur before, so yeah, no, it is that color. I'll see what it looks like when it dries, I guess. If nothing else, it'll just seal the wood. And since, again, this is inside paneling, I'm not going to weather it. And I think it'll look just fine. I just wanted to give it a little bit of color to change the wood a bit from just regular pine. As well as to wet it back down, so that way, to loosen up the Elmer's glue, so that way it'll sit flat again. I think this is a very nice amount. Start speckling it places so it dries darker other places and thicker others. Because we're basically just staining the wood now. Be nice to see what the color changes when it finally dries. And then once this is done, I can finally do what I originally set out to do, and that is show you guys stoning techniques. Alrighty then. Okay, I just need 4 weights because I don't want to just... Oh, it shouldn't hurt it too bad. And if it does, then I can always sand it and start again. And then we get tons of random weights. Bottles everywhere. Look at all the bottles. Yay, resin. Alright, now we leave that to dry, and we'll take a peek at it when I come back. I love my camera, but I'm guessing I'm going to need to get a new one. Oh, how fun. Anyways, so, we left that to dry. Oh, there we go. Okay, it didn't glue itself. So, let's go ahead and try one more coat. Still got some. I can tell a difference. Like, I can tell a clear difference between the two. But let's go ahead and use up the rest of this and just kind of... Because apparently, like, where I see the most difference is where it had tons of this paint on it. So we're just going to dump it. And I probably won't ever use the fabric paint again to try and do this. And I'll just use regular water-soluble paint. Learned my lesson, didn't I? Since the sides are going to be covered anyways. Learned my lesson. And so, I also think I am going to paint this and record painting this and show off some of my fancy skills. Where is my paint apron? Yeah, whenever you're working with crafts, you always gotta have a craft apron. Makes everything nicer. It keeps your shirt clean, or your lack of a shirt, depending on whether you're not wearing a shirt because it's hot out. Even though it's not hot out, and I'm probably going to die once the actual weather starts. No, don't do that. I need you for later in the build. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and dab this dry. I want to get started on part number 2. Oh, crap, there's hair on it. No hair. Where'd the hair come from? Okay. That'll work. That'll work. That's going to be the inside anyways. So, let's go ahead and get this. And do this. Alright. So, there's a few different ways to do this. You can either use a pen. Very useful. You can use... Don't knock over. Use the one I normally use. Where are you? You can use a clay tool. Yeah. So many different ways to do this. This, especially straight lines, also help when you're doing bricks. And I think this wall, the house itself, is going to be bricks. So, let's go ahead and start drawing. You want to press. That's a big brick. Pressing too hard, probably because it's wet. These are some big bricks. And because I like doing random stonework, why are you cutting deeper than normal? I guess it doesn't matter so much. Matters a little bit. What do you do? Okay, I'm going to switch to ballpoint pen. Wow, why are you cutting so deep? Wow. So soaking the sucker in water makes it very easy to cut, so be careful. I need something really rounded. I think that's too thick. I have another one of these a little more round. You're too thick. You're a cutting tool. You're a cutting tool. You're a piece of plastic, but you're also really thick. You're really thick. You're too fat. You're too thin. You're a drill. You'll probably work. Okay, this one's thicker, so hopefully it won't cut it. There we go. There we go. It stopped cutting. Yeah, you want that. So I'm using the round flat edge instead of the sharper edge. So the round flat curved edge. See how thick it is versus its sharper edge over here. So here we go. Let's draw these bricks out. Or stones. Because I could do an actual brick, and I'm probably going to do one of the houses an actual brick. But I want to do some stone work. I like stone. Especially since I finally decided I'm going to make her a Svartalfar. Which is a German, it's for black elf. Or dusky elf, or, you know, smoke elf, soot elf, whatever. And they're actually elves, or fae, that can touch iron, or cold iron, and not. But then again, most German fae aren't affected by cold iron. That's actually a very Celtic thing. So that's island fae. Everyone else is like, meh, I don't care. These are really bad bricks. It'll look better once it's painted. Better, Joe. You promised us good work. No, I promised you a tutorial. Tutorials are not always good. You're starting to get the idea, right? You got to push it in so it's visible, but not so hard that, you know, you cut through the foam, which is a lot harder to do with wet foam, and I probably should have finished waiting for it to dry. But that's, you know, let me do the mistakes so that you don't have to. Oh crap, that's almost a direct quote from the train tutor. He's a great guy. You should go watch the train tutor. I get a lot of ideas from him. But then again, there's a lot of really great guys in the crafting community. It's actually, I can see them actually better using the camera than I can looking down, which I find kind of funny. So I got a lot of small stones and a lot of random big ones. Yeah, basically the idea is to just draw them out how you want them. And slowly you'll fill up the space as needed. There we go. Okay, so now we got them all drawn out. That's still mostly dry. Alrighty then. Now I'm going to take, because I like to reuse the same things, this is just a small kind of rolled up aluminum ball. I'm going to take it, we're going to roll it all over our stone face to give it some texture. Make sure you roll it, not slide it, because otherwise it doesn't give a stone texture, it gives a shredded texture. And kind of watch where you're going to make sure that you get everywhere you want to get. Wow, wet styrofoam really takes that really good. I wonder if it'll also take the paint really well. A couple places need more. And you know, how textured you make it is entirely up to you. But this is one of my favorite ways to texture. You can also get an actual kind of beat up rock and do it. There's tons of different ways to do texture. This is just one of the quick and easiest ways for me, especially since I use a lot of aluminum products. So if I accidentally misplace my ball, I can always make a new one. Okay. How are we doing, paintbrush? Alright, so now I'm going to take, let's see, which color was I using? No, I don't want to use that one. I'm going to take some dark granite. You can use black, you can use pavement. Basically, you're using a really dark color for this part. And the reason you're using a really dark color, and preferably one that's mostly black, is because we're going to be getting into the crevices with them. And filling in the cracks, because that's what's going to help make the depth. Let's give this a nice layer. And make sure we cover it all and get inside all them nice cracks. Oop. Careful, Joe. Just because your camera's now on a fancy stand doesn't mean you need to throw it around. Alright, beautiful. Beautiful. Make sure you don't lay it on too thick, because you actually want it. Because you don't want to take away the texture. You want to show the texture. So we're mostly getting into the cracks, but we're making sure that it's not that thick. And if you need to, go ahead and like water down it a little bit. I might water it down or place some water on it after I just to help it finish getting it settling into all them cracks. And then we'll let it dry and start doing our stone layering. But before we can do our stone layering, we got to do our shadows and inside the bricks. And this is our shadows, are inside the bricks. Okay. Let's see, is there anywhere that I either didn't get or I got it a little too thick? So let's go ahead and get a little bit of water. I'm just going to spread that around. Just going to spread that water around. And that's going to help us get in to even more of the cracks, as well as water it down. There's probably a lot of bubbles right now because I mixed it in the water and I'm flicking it around. So there is our first layer, and the only layer we should have to do of this, because the less layers you can stick on, the better, because otherwise it ain't gonna show up. Okay, so that again was dark granite, multi-surface, apple barrel, whatever. And like I said, I get all of my paints from wherever the heck I can find them. I'm not paid. I'm not sponsored. I found these at Walmart. They sell for, 60 something cents, I think. They're not too bad. They're pretty cheap. A lot of the time more expensive isn't better. Okay. Make sure you clean your brushes. I'm actually thinking I'm going to try and weight this down maybe. Maybe that'll help it. Yeah, because when I was making that wood, didn't do too good of a job of, not... I didn't wait long enough. I got a little too hurried, and because of that, it messed up a lot of stuff. So, should help push it down a little. That might make me a better... I think you guys are too short. Let's go ahead and grab a few more of these. Stay on there. Okay. And let's go ahead and press you down just a little bit more. That should put the pressure on both those sticks. And we'll see how that works. Alright, I'm going to go eat dinner and then I'll be right back. Oh, I made this too tight, dang it. There we go. Good apron. Don't really know why I bother tying you most of the time, as you just hang loose. Alright, it popped up a little bit, but it didn't jump, so maybe I'll press it down a little bit more. I don't think it hurt that much. It's actually more of a discernible difference now. Alright, now for the fun part. Okay, now these over here. Actually, let's put them away. Let's open back up the blinds. Let in some of that nice night air. Let's let in some of that English, Joe. English, do you speak it? Okay. Actually, this one will still work just fine. It should work for just about everything I want to do. All right, let's open you a little bit. Oh, that's nice air. So I hate being massive. Let's make you the center of our attention. Whoop. A little bit higher than that. Nope, wrong way. Come on, turn! Thank you. There you go. Now you're the center of our attention. This is from the camera. But hey, at least we're not dangling anymore. Okay. So now, we get to have some fun. We already did the dark granite. That's what this is. This is watered down dark granite. Because its main purpose was to fit into all the cracks, which it looked like it did wonderfully. All right. Got a little wheel, a little paint wheel. Looks like a Lego wheel. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna keep that. Let's go in my bits box. There you go, random bit. Okay. Now. Oh, that's way too much, Joe. Now, we dry brush. And we dry brush because that builds up the layers while still showing the dark tones underneath. Ooh, there we go. And what color is this one again? Is this the one? No, that's not the one I poured. This is the one I poured. Timeless Gray. So I'm using Timeless Gray. Basically, you just work from dark to light. That's how I do it. Just work from dark to light, and you start to, start to get it through. And I'm going to keep these colors because the rest of the walls for the house are going to be painted in this stonework. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because, you usually use one quarry or type of stone for building your house. Yep, I'd used way too much paint. But I can lighten it up and actually make more and more layers by pouring in lighter paint and mixing it together. Okay, so there's that layer. Let's go ahead and mix in. Nice. Whoa, of course. Make sure you always shake your paints before you spray them. Otherwise, because some of them, especially the water-soluble ones, like to dry back off my brush on my apron. There we go. It makes it a slightly lighter gray. And all I did was put in some granite gray. So now we got a nice mix of granite gray and look how that already made a nice slightly brighter color. I keep knocking the camera. There we go, there we go. We just kind of want to, whoops, that was a little dark. Okay, let's go ahead and make a slightly lighter color and make sure that I don't mix it as much in. Start highlighting a little bit. Yeah, especially some of those big ones. They're really sticking through because some of those, remember some of those lines were a little too big. It's not as easy to do with a camera in your face. I'm going to admit that right here and now. May have to take a fine tip and redraw some of those lines inside of it. Okay, let's make really bright gray. Of course, I didn't grab any white with me because that would have been smart. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now another fun thing to do is to take another color. We're going to mix you in with the gray over here. Come on. I don't even know what color this is. I think it's Crema Coat by Delta. That's not its color name. That's just its Dusty Mauve. Dusty Mauve, huh? Oh, and of course you've got a dry blockage. Come on, squeeze through. You can do it, I believe in you. Oh well, that should be enough anyways. Alright, let's take that. Let's see, just a little bit. Wipe off and clean off my brush. Alright, I'm going to mix you with the gray. Make that really nice grayish red. I'm going to pick some of the stones and just randomly hit them. Layers on layers on layers on layers. This one might be good to kind of spread around a little bit. I kind of like that rose color. There we go. Spread it around a little bit there. Mix a little bit more gray in with it. Come here. There we go. You can kind of see the progression of gray mixing. Okay, so now that's not, there we go, that's the water. That's why you clean up after yourselves. Okay. Alrighty then. Now I could go back in with a fine detail brush and redraw in that black. But I don't think I will, and that's mostly because mix you up, learn your lesson. And again, just a little bit. I'm going to moss up some of these lines. I find it good to do most of your painting while it's still wet really quickly, but that's mostly just because it blends and mixes a little bit better. And yep, my moss is following lines because that's what it does. I'm going to color most of that moss though down here at the bottom. Kind of took over that stone entirely. Alright, so there's that. And then what's good to do sometimes, especially if your moss gets overabundant, is go back to some of your grayscales. Just kind of re-tap. Because that stippling effect is what gives it, what helps gives it its stone color. Just kind of reconquer some of those stones back because it's a thin moss. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay. Alright, then, so there it is. That's the wall. Let's see if rotating it under the light more will help. Probably not. Having an angle would probably help more. But yeah, that's the wall. And then to help support it and add a little bit, that's the inside wall. And it's going to go like this. So, we'll let that dry. Clean your brushes. Always clean your brushes. I used a little bit, as you could tell, I used a little too much paint. There's still a lot left in there. That's because the last one I did of these, it was much, much bigger. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That turned out actually a lot better than I thought it would. Because I've never done the moss effect before. Alright, and so that one attached with the other. So I'll build the rest of the walls to the house. Except for maybe the doorway. The doorway you guys might watch with me. But I'll build the other 2 walls to the house. Because this one, basically it goes right here. That one goes right there. And then there's this wall, and then this wall, and heck, I might even build this wall as well. These 2 walls are going to be at a fun angle. Because I'm doing that drop effect. But yeah, so I'll do that. I'll build these 2 walls. Tell me guys if you actually care, because if not, then I'll build this one as well. Because it's basically the same premise. The only difference will be the doorway and then where the fireplace will slide in. So if you do want to see this one, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. These 2 is basically going to be the same effect as this one, just at a weird shape. Okay, so that's it. And on to the next video. I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow instead of the next day, because I want to start getting this moving a little bit quicker, and let's get this this going through.